Hey everybody, Zach Marks here for Fish Talk Magazine. Thanks for tuning in for another installment of Live with Lenny. I don't know about you, but I haven't fished in 2026. But we're going to talk a lot about fishing in 2026. A lot to get into, I'd like to bring on the angler in chief, Mr. Lenny Rudo. What's happening, man?
Hey, Zach, what's happening is it is still cold and white outside. It's very aggravating, very upsetting. But we do have some ice fishing going on, so that's something. But it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's pretty.
Not super effective. I think those fish in the Magathy are going, what the heck is this crap? I haven't seen this in like, what, 7 years since it froze over?
At least. It's been more. I think more like 10. And we'll get into all that in a little bit. I do want to apologize to everybody. First off, right off the bat, I'm sorry that we had to cancel last month. We had an unexpected family emergency, and there was just absolutely zero possibility of me doing it. So I'm sorry, everybody. Life happens, and it's the first time we've ever had to do that. But the timing was amazing, and it just was not. What I talked to you, Zach, like 4 hours before or 10 hours before, and I was just like, hey, this isn't going to happen. Maybe was it the day before? I don't even remember at this point. That whole time frame is such a swirl in my head. But
all good. We're here now, and thanks for joining us, everybody.
I'm sorry. I apologize. We stuck with the topic because Eric, it is super cold out there.
What did Eric catch?
We'll get into that. We'll get into all that. He caught exactly what I caught.
Mm-hmm.
It is cold. It is tough out there. The nice thing is, our topic from last month kind of held, Oh, thanks, Michael. It's, tough, but what are you going to do? So we're going to stick with the same topic. We're going to modulate a little bit. And honestly, people, I got to tell you, our information on the current bite is like, it didn't change from last month, but that's only because there has not been a whole lot going on since last month. A little bit. Before we get into all that, Zach, we got 2 announcements, right?
A couple announcements. We want to let everyone know about the Chesapeake Bay Boat Show, which opened today at the Timonium Fairgrounds. Fish Talk and Prop Talk is going to be there. There's a whole fishing expo. They got the hog trough live, how many, like thousands of gallons, like kind of things you see at the big trade shows like at ICAST. There'll be some anglers demoing lures, tons of speakers, tons of charter captains, local fishing tackle manufacturers, and boats, all the hottest, new, slickest fiberglass. And they got a food court, they got beer, they got music and entertainment. It's a great show. It's really cool. It's heated inside, tons of parking, real close, no shuttling, so that's great. And it's a cool show. It's going to be there. It closes 4:30 on Sunday, so you still have time to get to your Super Bowl parties.
And I'll be there all day tomorrow.
Me too.
Yep, I'll be at the booth for quite a bit, and I'll be wandering around the rest of the time. I'll be there a little bit on Saturday, and then all day Sunday as well.
Yep, and we do have a promo code. I think, was it Fish Talk 10% off tickets, I believe.
Ooh.
Let me double check that. I'll circle back at the end of the show with that.
Go ahead and double check on that, and I'll give our second announcement.
Perfect.
Again, weather related. Everybody in the Baltimore, D.C., Annapolis area is probably aware of the Pasadena Sport Fishing Show. That was scheduled to take place the weekend of the 14th and 15th at Kurtz's Beach in Pasadena, Maryland. I'll be there. I'll be there for the show. And what happened was the snow and ice coverage is so thick that the entire parking area has remained covered. And looking at the weather report, they said, well, we can't remove it. And if it melts in between now and that weekend, it's going to be a disaster. And they were worried that it was going to be dangerous for people to park and then try and walk in from there. So unfortunately, that show has been postponed. Not canceled, postponed. It's been bumped back to the very next weekend. That is the 21st and 22nd of February. Same great show, same vendors. I'll still be there, same hours, same place. But it has bumped back for a weekend. So we want to make as many people aware of that as we possibly can.
It's probably the biggest dedicated fishing show here in the Chesapeake Bay.
It certainly is in Maryland.
In Maryland, yes.
Certainly is in Maryland.
In the Upper Bay.
Yeah, there's some good ones in Virginia. I'm not sure if they're quite as big. It is a big show, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really good one. It's one of my favorites of the winter. But what are you going to do? You know, this weather has just messed a lot of stuff up, and you can add that one to the list.
Cool. And Eric Packard's going to be there, our number one contributor. Thanks, Eric.
Nice.
Hey, George. Hey, Larry. It is cold, but it's a balmy 36.
Larry, oh my God, no! Larry is in Florida. He's making fun of us right now.
Okay.
Although it got pretty darn cold down there recently too. Going south didn't help a whole lot. In fact, last weekend I was at the Virginia Beach Boat Show, and it was snowing and freezing and absolutely no better than here. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And
hey,
while
Tim, what's happening?
Hey.
Tim was asking when your seminar was. Unfortunately, Lenny does not have a seminar at the show, but even better, you can have a private one-on-one conversation tomorrow, 3 to 6, and I'll be there eavesdropping, and you can talk to me and just ignore him.
Absolutely.
Are you going to the OC boat show?
No, I had a conflict on that one. I don't remember what, but I will not be there.
Okay.
That's one that every year there's a conflict with, actually. I'm not sure what. It's not Miami, is it?
One of our guys, Chris, went down last year, I think. So.
Yeah, every year it comes along and I look at the date and I go, oh, well, once again.
Anyway, Larry says it's cold now.
Yeah. So, Larry, why don't you just pop in there and tell us when the last time you went fishing was, because I think it wasn't December. Pretty sure. Frozen iguanas are falling out of the trees. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Tim. I just said Lenny and I will be at the booth tomorrow, 3 to 6. I know you had asked about it. I don't know if you missed that as you were hopping off YouTube to Facebook. By the way, we are streaming on YouTube and Facebook. If you guys are on one or the other, if you didn't know we were on one or the other, so if you go to our website, there's a Live with Lenny button at the top, and it has links for both every month. So,
and while these comments are popping up, don't forget, folks, throw them in there. We want to know what you want to know. So, we're totally hip to getting as many questions and comments as we can through this. 11 to 12. Ooh.
Yeah, we heard about the speckled trout situation. That is a bummer down there.
Yeah, actually, that was kind of the talk of the town in Virginia Beach, too. And I spoke with one guy who had been out fishing about a week earlier, and he saw fish on the surface and went over and cast to him and couldn't get a bite. So he was like, man, what's going on? So he got closer and closer and closer. And then what he saw was it was specks on their side doing the death circle at the surface of the water. And then he looked down and saw the dead ones on bottom. So major bummer. Larry got peacock bass last week. Okay, Larry.
Oh, by the way, guys, I did put that fish talk code in the comments with the link to tickets. That's 10% off for the Chesapeake Boat Show this weekend.
No reason not to get 10% off, right?
Yeah, it's go buy a beer or something.
So
maybe some wine.
Reach out to
maybe some wine.
Wait a minute. Jet ski fishing running after sunset without appropriate lights.
I got a phone number and an email coming at you.
Cool. Thank you, Zach. Man, you're a lot faster than me.
It's the Google machine. I can't take credit for that.
So, the jet skis are one thing, but what's really terrifying is when you're ice fishing and the snowmobilers come by. That's terrifying. It was a long time. Was it when we were ice fishing Deep Creek when the jet skier hit my tip up?
Yeah. Did you file an insurance claim on that? I don't know if he had collision.
He wrecked my tip up, and I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Jet ski just went zooming by at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Take your auger and shove it in his under his sled. What do you call it? I don't know. Have you ever ridden one of those things? They're hard.
I have not since I was like 15.
Scott's on his way to the show. Awesome. Cool.
Nice.
So one more announcement. Sorry. Go on.
No, well, I was just going to say, normally we do the Great Invasives Count giveaway right now.
So I was just going to do a basic announcement for anyone who is not aware. So
Go ahead.
If you tune in regularly, you know that we give away the Great Chesapeake Invasive Counts. This is brought to you by CCM Maryland, Virginia, in an effort to provide citizen science as a recreational angler. You can catch blue catfish, flathead catfish, northern snakehead, and you just register for free here. And this will take you to an iAngler page where you create an iAngler account. If you've done any fishing tournaments, you'd probably be familiar with that. It's super easy. Snap a photo and you just upload it with your information. You can add length and pounds if you want. Really, they're also looking for the geographics of it. So you want to take that, upload that when you're fishing so they know where you caught the fish. Bonus points for revealing the stomach contents and seeing what those catfish and snakeheads are eating. And all this information is going to fisheries managers, and it's kind of fun, and it keeps a log for yourself. But best of all, you get to win cool stuff. Last month, Mike Dawson was our only Chesapeake invasive angler, and he won an awesome pack from Toadfish Outfitters. I think he got the knife and pliers. Anyway, valuable stuff. So since we didn't have anyone because we're all locked up, we're going to do a special Live with Lenny viewership CCA giveaway. So all you guys tuned in right now, thanks for joining us. You know, my friend said time is the most valuable thing we have, and you're choosing to spend it with us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm just trying to kill time where I press buttons. All right, here we go. We got an Engel cooler for you guys tonight. Everyone watching is eligible to get into the raffle, which we will be doing at 7 p.m. tonight. Just type hashtag join CCA in the comments and you're in. And we're going to announce that again in the middle and at the end for last chance viewers. And we'll be giving this is like a $100 value cooler. They're pretty cool. I've got one. I've actually got three Engels. They're great coolers. They're really great.
And how much does it cost to enter?
Free 99.
Free. So just type it on in, people. And your name goes into the hat. Are you going to do the giant spinny wheel, Zach?
No, it's something else. It doesn't have a spinny wheel.
Oh, I like the spinny wheel.
We got 3 people already signed up. You guys are quick.
Nice.
All right, I'll take this down and put that. Well, let's remember to, like, in 15 minutes, we'll just, when you get a break point, we'll just mention that again for anyone tuning in.
And don't forget, folks, this is all thanks to CCA. And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If you're an angler on the bay, you got no reason to not be a member of CCA. They are on a daily basis working for your interest. They are improving the habitat. They're going down to the State House and talking to the legislators. And their main interest really is just supporting the fisheries and the fishermen that fish for them. Access is big to them. Policy matters. They're constantly there in all the battles about fisheries management and regulations. And there have been some important developments in the last couple of months regarding that, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. There have actually been some really interesting things going on. But the bottom line is, please, people, join CCA. I'm a lifetime member. Okay. Zach, are you a member?
I am, and I'm usually
I kind of knew that.
I'm usually like up a couple years because I like go to so many banquets that like I get like I get like a couple years at a time. So I should probably just do the life thing.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is the cost of membership is not a whole lot more than a bag of bloodworms. If you can go buy a bag of bloodworms to go fishing, it doesn't do any good if there's no fish out there. So I strongly suggest that if you're not a member already, you join CCA right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in. You have to do the exact what's on screen. Hashtag join CCA, no spaces, no caps. It's got to be exactly that for you to come in. That's how the system that I'm using recognizes you guys. That's how I do the random drawing. So a couple of you guys just did join CCA. I love the exclamation points, but you got to do hashtag JOINCCA. So I don't want you guys to miss out. All right. I'm going to hide and you're going to talk.
One of the fish. Let's talk fishing. Let's talk about what's going on right now. You can go ahead and throw up slide number 1 whenever you like. Although this one's already, it's already kind of messed up. Just by the fact of what the weather is, and that is the mill ponds. This is normally an excellent time to fish the mill ponds on the eastern shore for pickerel. You'll pick up some crappie. You might pick up a yellow perch here and there. You pick up more bass than you might expect. Now, obviously, ice is going to be a problem at the moment. I haven't gone over there to drill any holes and see if you could ice fish them. Don't forget, folks, you really want 4 inches is kind of the mark that most people use as totally safe ice. And whenever you walk out, go to the edge, punch a hole, and see what it is. Measure it. Don't eyeball it. I suspect that you could probably go ice fishing on many of the mill ponds right now. You could probably catch plenty of pickerel. Truth of the matter is, this bite is probably, more or less not going to be a thing until it melts. All right, so go ahead and just take us right over to the next slide, if you would, Zach. Rockfish. This is another one that now has, what's interesting is the big fish were really focused in the lower Patuxent this year. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of bunker. And you'd see a ton of bait and then a couple big rockfish around it. Eric caught quite a few. I don't know exactly how many, but Eric, I think even got some from the kayak in the lower Patuxent. Fish were basically from, the area of the bridge down. Eric, if you want to let us know how many of those big ones you got, that'd be great. However, now ice is an issue at the boat ramp. And what's interesting is even when the water got really cold, it was in the 30s, those fish were still hitting a little bit. Not a lot, but there might be like an hour bite window. Some ice fishing going on in Milford. Okay. Yeah, it's been cold enough. Probably, my guess is just about throughout Fish Talk's entire readership zone. But not on the Patuxent. So since everything got super iced a couple of weeks ago, and maybe 10 days ago, I have not heard of anybody doing well with this specific fishery. So go ahead and take us to the next, Zach. But those fish are still there. 4 off the yak, total 8. Okay, nice. Lots caught on the lower Potomac, south of the 301 bridge. Yep. It's interesting. The Potomac seemed to have more of the smaller fish this year. And by, small can be 30-something, right? But there was a nice slug of 40-somethings. What do we got here? CC of Virginia is looking into the protocols for his VR. Oh, okay, good. And that's from Wayne. Wayne is Chesapeake Bay Fishing Reefs. He's the author of many books and a Fish Talk contributor. Hickory shad is a funny one in Virginia. In Maryland, it's totally shut. You can't keep any. You can fish for them, but you can't keep any. In Virginia, you can load a bucket. And most guys do it for bait, which is, kind of a shame, but whatever. Zach, go ahead and take us to the next slide when you can. And Constantine's asking if this will affect the yellow perch spawn on the eastern shore.
Good timing.
Yeah, really. It should not affect it in a negative way. I'd say historically, this is, more the norm than the last 10, 15 years. So it should not affect it in a negative way. Will it slow it down? Will it force it back time-wise? Maybe. Can't really say. I don't really know. In recent years, the yellow perch run on the eastern shore has been very condensed. It's been very intense for just a few days. And if you weren't there at just the right time, it was really easy to miss. And that's, with a warmer winter. So maybe it'll stretch it back out again. I don't know. That's just a guess. Now, prior to the big freeze up, some perch were being caught in the eastern shore tribs. Those fish are still there. Those fish will still bite. But ice is going to be a problem anywhere you go. Even if the moving parts of the river are open, the problem is the boat ramps, right? It's just tough to get there. So we're probably going to need to wait a little bit before it's really doable. And I'm going to throw a tip out there to everybody right now. If there's ice on the boat ramp, even thin ice, do not back your trailer down into it, figuring that your trailer will break up the ice. If you want to try it, you got to get a pole or a spike or something and bust the ice up first. I learned this the hard way. What happens is you back down, your trailer lights will get busted out. Even like a 1/4 inch of ice will bust out your trailer lights. So don't try it.
How much do trailer lights cost?
What's that?
How much does trailer lights cost?
Oh my God, like $8,000 as far as I can tell. I don't know.
I'm guessing you know this from experience.
They're not stupid cheap. I know that. And then the worst thing is you got to wire the whole thing up and put them on. And it's a pain in the butt. Don't back down on ice. Just don't do it. All right, go ahead and take us to the next slide, please. Hey, Tim. All right, I'll see you at Pasadena. Just remember, a week later.
I hope you use those cat slayers this year, Tim. He won those cat slayers.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Congrats. So what we do have going on is some ice fishing, right? We've gotten reports of good ice out at Deep Creek. Have not gotten a lot of fish reports. One guy mentioned a couple perch and a walleye. Deep Creek used to be fantastic. I find it a lot more finicky these days. But if you know where to go and you head out there, you definitely have got a decent shot. Why is my phone going off now? You definitely have got a decent shot at some fish. Cadorus is froze up. The Magathy is froze up. This shot is from the Magathy. I went there with Dave and Eric and Adam from over at Anglers, Adam Greenberg. He's also a Fish Talk contributor. Now, a savvy angler might look at this picture that I chose to put on there and go, wait a minute. Why did he put a picture of setting up a tip up there? Why didn't he put up a picture of a nice big fat yellow perch laying on the ice? Well, would you like to guess why? You can probably guess we did not catch anything. And we weren't the first out there. We saw some holes from someone who fished it previous to us, and we fished it Tuesday. We saw some holes that had already been drilled, and I did not see, minnow and stuff in the ice there, fish poo. Usually if someone has a good day and they catch stuff, you see that stuff around the holes. I didn't see any of that. We had four times a tip up triggered. Never had a bite on a rod, a hand fished rod, but 4 times the tip up triggered. Every time when we got there, there was nothing there. One time the minnow was crunched. So there are some fish around there somewhere. In past years, I've had halfway decent luck on the Magathy when it iced up. I remember one day, probably, I don't know, maybe it was 10 years ago, we got 3 yellows, a white, and a couple of pickerel. And I think that's kind of the norm for there. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know if the fish were super finicky, the tide was wrong. I don't know. Didn't happen for us, but it is an option. You can do it. Really, any of the western lakes are going to be ice fishable at this point. Even getting down into Virginia, if you head west, you should be able to do it. Again, remember 4 inches. You want that 4 inches. When I was a kid, they said 3, and I've walked out on 3 plenty of times. But for whatever reason, that kind of changed. And you got to remember the ice is a little different, right? We had 7 inches on the Magathy. Now, we walked out towards some areas where the river gets tighter and there's a little more current, and I found 4 inches, and I didn't go any further. But the ice on the tidal tributaries is not likely to be as solid as the ice on these lakes. So when you see the clear black ice, that's what you really want. That's the best. When you see the kind of white aerated ice, that's not as good. And when you see the choppy ice, that's definitely not as good. So, if you're going to do this, be careful. Make sure you go with somebody. Never do it alone. Always carry spuds, big poles with a tip on the end. I use a ski pole with a screwdriver duct taped to the end. I've been doing that for 30 years. It's worked great. I had to replace the duct tape about 15 years ago. But other than that, it works great. And that way you can chip the ice as you go and kind of feel for it, make sure it continues to be thick as you move along. And then if somebody does go in the water, the other person who's with them can stretch out, lay down on the ice, and hold the pole out. And that's the best way to safely give someone assistance. You don't want to walk right up to the edge or anything, but you lay down, stretch out, hold the pole out.
Hey, you had another tip when we went the first time, and that was avoid bridges.
Oh, bridges. Yeah, don't walk under a bridge. Yeah, bridges have roads. Roads have salt put on them. And you can have 8-10 inches of ice across the whole lake and then get up near a bridge and there can be open water, or super thin ice. Bridges are not good. Thank you for bringing that up, Zach.
Well, I remembered it. So you taught me a lesson. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a critical one there. You don't want to walk under the bridges. Be super.
I think I was like, why don't we fish the bridges? There's structure, and you're like, oh.
And actually, I remember when we fished Cadorus one time, as we moved closer to the bridge, it got thinner and thinner. Remember that?
Yeah, that's when I call it my PB, my PL bluegill.
Personal littlest.
Yes.
Yes, that bluegill that you caught was literally smaller than the minnow we were using for bait.
It was.
Yeah.
Eric Packard made me a citation award for it.
That was a nice fish. Oh boy, that was a pretty pitiful day. Anyway, all right, let's keep going. Go ahead and take us to the next slide, please, and we will continue along the path down at the coast. In January, I had this slide in for last month. In January, people were still catching flounder. This is my buddy Steve. He fishes out of Chincoteague, and he was sending all kinds of pictures of flounder in January. Now, the weather got worse. People kind of stopped going out a lot. I don't believe Steve has gone out at all since then. And I don't know if that's still going on. But in January, there were still flounder being caught at the wrecks. So that's pretty cool. Just go ahead and take us right to the next one, Zach, and I think the next one's kind of dated too. Yeah, the bluefin. I'm sure everybody heard. Okay, Steve.
Yeah,
there's the man.
You're talking about the guy on the left, right?
It's a good-looking fish, I'll say that. It's a good-looking fish. There's that's from Virginia. That picture, I think, is Ian, isn't it?
Sure
yeah,
is.
another one of our contributors, a former intern. Big bluefin were biting off the Virginia coast. The Virginians were getting them. Most of you guys were running south a little bit and getting them. I think that has slowed down a lot, or it might be that the weather just has made it kind of impossible. I have not heard about that more recently. So Zach, just go ahead and take us to the next one if you would. We'll just keep rolling through these ones that are kind of dated. Okay, and now we are to the changes. Now, hopefully everybody has heard about the proposed change in the baseline season. What they're trying to do is basically keep the harvest number and the mortality number on the rockfish the same while changing what we can do as anglers. And this goes just for Maryland. Okay, we're going to talk about other places in a minute, but this one is just for Maryland. The new baseline they've moved forward with, which is great. They opened up a comment period. I'm not sure if it's still open. I don't know. Can you maybe check on that, Zach? I should have looked to see if it was still open. But the bottom line is that the earlier period, it got a lot of support. A lot of people liked it. And so it appears like the DNR is moving forward with it. Here's how it changes.
Through February 23rd.
Okay, great. So you can still go in there and chime in with what you think about whether or not we should do this. But again, it appears like all the stars are aligned for this to happen. January 1 through April 30 would be open for catch and release in the main stem bay. Now, this does not include the rivers. This does not include, there's no spawning area within like 20 miles of this. It's just main stem bay. And of course, everybody probably knows the catch and release mortality is super duper low at this time throughout that stretch. The figure I've seen is 1.2 to 1.5%. So it's a very clean catch and release fishery, harms very few fish. And we have been unable to even catch and release in April. Remember, the preseason got canceled, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. We kind of know though that hasn't helped a darn thing, right? The population has certainly not skyrocketed as a result. But we've lost a lot of fishing time. So with this new baseline, January 1 through April 30, open for catch and release in the main stem bay, open waters. And then May 1, the season kicks in, the catch and keep season. Now, in the last couple of years, it hasn't happened until May 15. So we gain 15 days on the front end.
Sorry.
And that would stay open through July 21, right? That's all open for catch and release and harvesting fish under the same existing size and bag limit. So one fish a day, 19 to 24 slot. That would go through July 31. Now, August 1 through August 31, the whole month of August, then gets shut down. Completely closed, no fishing for striped bass of any sort. And hopefully we'll help out the population of resident fish with this, because you probably know August is just a terrible time to catch and release fish. That hot water, the mortality rate skyrockets. So even if it's an undersized fish and you get it back in the water quick, it ain't good. We don't want it. So August 1 through 31, completely closed. September 1 through December 5 is back open to catch and release and harvesting legal fish under that same bag and slot limit. And then December 6th through 31 goes back to catch and release. So what this does is we lose a couple weeks in August, which it's hard to be upset about. It really is, because the fishing's not great. A lot of the fish are ill at that time. You can see it. They got the rash. They got they don't look good. They're skinny. We do lose those 2 weeks, but we gain 2 weeks in May, right? So that's great. That's an awesome time to catch them. We gain a whole month of catch and release in April. And then the other downside is we lose some of December. I think we lose 6 days off December. So this is the new baseline. This is what they're looking at. This is very likely what we'll be looking at next year. So we'll see what happens. Please mention the no eel regs for CNR. Oh, yeah. Eels, it's illegal to use eels, I think, all the way up until, is it May 1? I could be wrong on that. But you're not allowed to use them throughout the catch and release time in the spring. And in August, I certainly would think that would not be cool unless you're cobia fishing. Then you could. But yeah, you absolutely can't use eels for it.
And that's trolling barbless hooks as well.
The catch and release season, those same rules that have always applied before they shut down April, the same rules that always applied prior still would apply. So yes, barbless hooks. If you're trolling, no stinger hooks. Honestly, I would like to see them make it barbless across the board and say no trebles, but that's just me. That's that's just me. But that wouldn't be a bad thing. Also, I think a maximum of 6 lines trolling. Pretty sure. So Vincent's asking about the coast. Coast, no specific changes are in store at this time that I'm aware of. It looks like coastal season is going to remain the same as it was.
Which is 27 to 31?
28.
28 to 32.
One fish in the tight little slot.
It's got 3-inch or 4-inch. Yeah.
You got to find the unicorn fish. It's not easy.
There was a good crop of them last summer. So, they had a good season. I got one at the 50 Bridge last spring.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very
I
cool.
was on my way to go flounder fishing, and I got some keeper flounder too. Hey, Lenny, there's another question about eels here. Does that apply to artificial eel lures?
No, that's a live bait thing.
Gotcha.
You could, if you wanted to troll an eel, as long as you had no barb on the hook, I believe you would be fine with that. I'm not, a DNR officer, but I can't imagine how that would impact anything. That's a live bait thing. And that's because the rockfish do suck them right down.
Yeah.
28
Coastal regs 28-31. Thank you, Frank. Sorry for not. We don't get out there much.
Off. I think that I'm sure the man's fine with it if you're only 1 inch off, right?
They're chasing around all those illegal jet skis out there anyway.
All
right. So a couple more comments here.
August, there are other southern exotics. So that's very true for many of us. It does kind of stink for the guys north of the bridge, particularly if the blues don't get up there. They can get kind of stuck. They may be down to perch and blue cats. It is tougher on the people that are north of the bridge. Hey, what's happening? Fred is saying, I don't think we get any fishing way north, just loose days. I think the flats, God, man, I'm going to say it wrong, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the flats does have an opening for catch and release, and then I believe it closes again. If you look at the DNR maps, well, I guess the old maps are still up. There's an opening and then a closure, and I don't remember the dates, and I don't want to get them wrong. It is different for the flats. That is accurate. And Rich is saying, pushing for bar. Yeah, man. Why do we need trebles? I mean, come on.
Trouble hooks.
Trouble hooks. Yeah. Vincent, if you are throwing jigs or something like that, no. But the trolling, if you're trolling, they have always been in the catch and release season, right? The pre-fishing, you've always been limited to 6. Now, when the season opens up, I don't believe there's going to be any kind of limitation on the number of rods. There has not been in the past. I haven't heard rumblings about that, so I doubt there will be any change there. And that's another question. Do we really need 36 rods? Because you'll see that, right? 24, I would say, is not even unusual. And you'll see some charter boats pulling more. It's kind of crazy.
It's amazing watching those mates work that. I mean, I'm
You're
impressed.
right. They are well-oiled machines. It is kind of amazing.
Um,
And John saying, basically following the Potomac, never understood why Potomac and Bear was different. Yeah, I will say this. The Potomac is regulated by the Potomac River Fisheries Commission. Virginia is regulated by Virginia. Maryland is regulated by Maryland. I have seen a honest effort in the last few years to make the rules more across the board, so everybody's fishing under the same. It's not there yet. I think
they did it with reds though, right?
they did, yeah. With redfish, it was all over the dang place, and I guess, I don't know if everyone agreed or what, but they made it consistent. They're working that way. I think the regulators are aware that it's very problematic. And shoot, Zach, that day that you and me were fishing and catching reds down there, and we looked at each other. We're like, how many can we keep? Like, we were having trouble figuring it out,
Yeah.
And I think we ended up just keeping the one each for Maryland, and then found out later that we could have kept three.
Oh well.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
We'll get them next time.
All right, go ahead and take us on to the next slide, unless there are any more rockfish specific Maryland questions.
It's a comment, not a question, but you should,
Well, they were under the same 28 to 31 coastal limit. So if they were tearing up anything other than 28 to 31, they could have been catch and releasing. That's fine, but they can't keep. That coastal reg is up and down the coast.
I think David here is referring to the sewage.
Oh, yeah,
spill.
the sewage. I forgot about that. There was a giant sewage spill in the Potomac, and evidently now they're diverting the sewage into some old dry canal. But it hasn't even really been completely fixed. Rich, I think I mentioned earlier, down at Virginia Beach, guys were just talking about it left and right. Dead fish are being spotted. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. We're going to be screwed up by that. Specs are not likely to be awesome. And in North Carolina, Eric texted us something today. North Carolina just shut down specs because they're seeing them too, which is lovely. And Eric's saying red strap bluefish flounder. Yeah, you got plenty of summer fish for south of the bridge.
All right. Next slide.
All right. Take us on to the next one here. We got some more cool stuff to talk about.
Yep. Well, before we jump into that, let's run our ticker again. Every time I do it. Hey, what's going on?
I see the ticker.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep. So Engel Coolers, big proponent of CCA, and they've donated this 30-quart cooler we're giving away at 7 p.m. To enter, you type into the comments #join CCA, just as you see it there. No space, no caps, no other characters. Good luck. Got about.
Am I allowed?
We have less than half of the viewers that did it. So if you're not sure you did it right, go ahead and do it again. There's no harm, no foul. All right.
And next we have, drum roll please, flounder. All right, I'm going to have to look at my notes on this one. This starts to get confusing, okay? Actually, the flounder is an easy one. So with the Mid-Atlantic Fisheries Committee, and Carl's asking, any flounder in the bay for you last year? Only little ones, which I was surprised at, because year before I got several nice keepers. Only little ones for me last year. But the good news is the decision was made to basically keep flounder status quo. Okay, so it will be reviewed for 2027, but we expect no changes in flounder regulations. Are probably going to remain the same. It'd be great if the Chesapeake could get a lowered size limit like we had at one time, where it could be like 16 in the bay and 17 on the coast. And I say that only because, we do catch more small ones here than bigger ones, but we don't expect any changes to take place with flounder. Also discussed at the meeting. Go to the next slide, if you would, please, Zach.
Did you see that comment?
I answered it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would you space out?
I was
You missed it.
I heard it. I was just testing you.
Yeah, go to the next one. Black sea bass. There's good news on the black sea bass front. So the population is up for 2026, and the population has actually been going up for like a decade. Consistent climb. Okay. So this will be on a state level as to just what changes, but it does appear that no changes have been announced yet, but potentially there could be an increase somewhere along the line in the take. Maryland, can we have a February special season like Virginia? Wouldn't that be nice? It's a winter fishery. Not a lot of guys partake in it, but it gives the charter boats and the head boats something to go after. And the hardcores, they can go catch sea bass. So that would be nice. 20% increase in the population. That doesn't mean we're going to see a 20% increase in what we're allowed to take. But, each state will be different, but we could do something here. And Robert's saying, heard many states increase limits. Yeah, so so the Mid-Atlantic Fisheries Commission is what determines, you can have a 20% increase. After that, it goes to the state, right? Maryland can decide to give us a February season, or they can decide to lower the size limit, or they can decide to raise the bag limit. All of those are possibilities. And the states, at least to my knowledge so far, have not, I don't think anybody has announced how they're going to handle this, like what's going to happen. But the potential is there. So it's we're still in kind of wait and see mode, but we know that it won't be worse than last year. And with a little bit of luck, we should get some extra fish. So we'll see where they take it. All right, go to the next slide, if you would, please.
Let's rewind real quick for a question.
Sure. Guys up north in New York, fish shoals and lumps. Does it work the same way down here? I've been told many flounder fishermen see that it's a wreck structure game. Yeah, so no, shoals and lumps totally can hold flounder. I like edges. I like really sharp edges. That's kind of my favorite thing to do with flounder, particularly in the bay. Off the coast, often the best flounder fishing is going to be at the wrecks and reefs. And that's simply because there's not a whole lot of sharp drop-offs. You run outside the inlet, it's a pretty gradual kind of thing. Now, when you get to the wreck and reef sites, that's generally where the fish are going to be congregated. And you don't want to fish on the wrecks or on the structure because you'll just snag it. You just want to go right by it as close as you can without snagging it. And that tends to be where the fish are going to be. But, you can look at a shoal like the jack spot. You can catch flounder on the jack spot. That's like the only lump like that within 20 miles of the inlet. So we just
how do they find those wrecks and reefs?
Oh, the OC Reef Foundation. Oh yeah, thank you, Zach. I appreciate you popping that up. The OC Reef Foundation, you join. The money that you use to join goes to assist them in their reef building efforts and nothing else. It's purely what they're doing, and it's purely what the money goes to. And they'll send you a reef book that gives you the coordinates. You get coordinates of all the different reef sites. The state stopped doing reef building years ago, but the Reef Foundation has been doing it continually. And if you ever heard the Morning Star and Captain Monty Hawkins, when you get on his boat and you leave in the morning, he's got something on that boat. 50 cinder blocks, a big giant something. He's always got something to add to the reef sites, and he goes out every dang day and adds to the reef sites. And he's really the driving force behind the Reef Foundation. So when you get that book, you find out a whole lot of stuff. There's no better way. If you're new to the area and getting started on fishing off the coast of OC, there is no better way to get started. There really isn't. I would also say go to fishtalkmag.com and just type Ocean City into the search box. You'll find all kinds of stuff on the flounder, on the sea bass, on the tog, etc. All right, let's get on to the next one, Zach. Oh, a bluefish. Did anything change with bluefish? Not really, kind of, sort of. Here's the thing. Here's why I threw this in here. There was a big, big discussion at the MAMFC meeting about sector separation. And the whole sector separation thing is quite controversial because recreational anglers, you and me, Joe Fisherman, and charter boats and paid guides are allegedly regulated together as the recreational sector. But sometimes some people kick up a fuss, they want more fish, and they do what they call sector separation. And that's what we saw in Maryland when charter boats were allowed 2 rockfish and everybody else was allowed 1 rockfish. And we're all fishing on the same pool of fish. We have the same number of fish we're getting to take from. So recreational anglers paid a price for that, right? We lost, I forget, was it 2 weeks a season? And we were allowed 1 fish a day and they got 2 fish. We paid a price for them to be able to take 2 fish, which, they have a point in that fishing for 1 fish makes it very hard for them to sell charters. And I don't have a problem with them taking 2 fish. I wish they could. But if you're going to regulate us together, regulate us together. If you're going to give different limits for the different sectors, regulate them separately. All right? That's my attitude. That's my take on it. Now, they had a big meeting on this because there was discussion about some different sector separation taking place with flounder, sea bass, scup, bluefish. Now, there's already sector separation with bluefish. Some of you probably know that in past years, Joe Average Recreational Angler has been allowed to keep 3 a day. For hire, the for hire sector, right, your charters and guides, they were allowed to keep 5. Now, I think it's a much harder argument to make that you need to keep 5 blues versus 3 to sell a charter. And I don't know how many charters get sold on blues in the first place, but whatever. Bottom line being, it's a very slippery slope, and it's really kind of the government, the regulators, picking losers and winners, which I'm not incredibly hip to, particularly when it means I get less fish. So whatever. Anyway, bottom line, the for hire sector got bumped to 5 bluefish. To 7 bluefish. The recreational sector, the rest of us, got bumped to 5 bluefish. So, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, whatever. But the bottom line is, during this meeting, the managers decided to kind of kick the can. They did not discuss sector separation with any other species. They said, we're going to get additional stakeholder input and talk about this down the line. So what that means for you and me is formulate your own opinion. You can feel however you want to feel about it. You can say whatever you want to say about it, but keep your eye out for comment periods regarding sector separation. This is something that's coming up more and more, and we're probably going to see it come up more and more in the future. And look for those comment periods. Let the regulators know what you think. All right, we got one more. Tangier Sound Charters. Hey, what's going on? The puffer's doing great. I took home a puffer fish and it's in my fish tank. It's crazy. It'll eat everything you put in that tank. My take on this bluefish pick is that it's not the ideal way to. Those fingers are a little close to the mouth, right? I think that's what he's getting at. I'm pretty sure that's. Yeah, I would have to agree. All right, we got one more for Maryland in specific. You can go ahead and take us to the next slide, Zach. And that's yellow perch. The yellow perch. In some rivers, there seems to be some very significant, let's call it localized depletion. It's getting really hard to find them in some places. When I first moved here, I live on the south. When I first moved down here, I could go out and catch a few. Yellow perch were already pretty beat up. Catch a few in a day, never a lot. Today, I dare you to go and try and catch a yellow perch in this river. Like, it ain't going to happen. It's a little better in the Severn. It's a little better moving farther north. Mike's saying one aspect of the ice age is yellow perch should be great. I hope so, man. I hope so. I really miss catching a bunch of yellow perch. But the bottom line is that the numbers are down in certain areas. Up on the Susquehanna, they were catching them until the ice became a problem. I was actually thinking about going up there and ice fishing the Northeast for them in the next few days. I don't because of the boat show. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but the ice has made it kind of tough to get out there. The ice along the edges. But the fish were biting right up until the ice. I'm sure when the ice goes away, they'll be biting again. Anyway, bottom line. The state decided it was necessary to cut the bag limit from 10 fish to 5 fish. Folks who've been around for a few years will remember that there was a time when it was 10 fish, and then there was a time when it was 5 fish, and then it was a time when it was 10 fish again. And it wasn't that long ago that the limit was raised from 5 to 10. I don't know, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years? I can't remember. But it wasn't, ancient history or anything that it was 5 fish. Well, it's back to 5 fish. The DNR had considered doing a slot limit. They had considered a couple different tactics to try and help the yellow perch a little bit. That's what they landed on. Personally, I'm glad they did. I'm not sure I love the idea of a slot limit with yellow perch. You could end up handling a ton of fish to get your keepers. And I will add, any self-respecting yellow perch angler out there who loves these fish, when they get a really big, like a 13-incher with a big fat sagging belly, they're going to put that fish right back in the water because that's the female with a ton of roe. A 9-10-inch perch, in my opinion, that's skinny is perfect. That's exactly what you want to take home and fry up. That really big fat one, put that back in the water. That's, I don't know. Maybe there should be a ceiling one. I don't know. That's how they decided to handle it. I think it was, probably a pretty good way. All right. We got one more, and it's
Mike knows where Mike knows.
Okay, I'm gonna see what Mike said, but I saved the bomb for last. Mike says, "Oh shoot, wait, Mike went away already." Definitely fishing where few go. Can't hit from the bank. Can't hit boat back there. Good stuff. We'll see somewhere on the eastern shore. Okay, cool. Yeah.
He knows where that hole is, I'm sure.
Does he know where I was going to say? Does he know where we?
Mike's kayak guy. So
I call it the magic tree. Dang.
So
it's not a super secret spot. I've written about it before. It's in Fish Talk somewhere.
I've told this story numerous times that at my dad's house, he has a 15-inch yellow perch stuffed on the wall. And my friends would come over when I was a teenager and be like, I mean, you usually see like a barracuda or a marlin or something. Why is what is this little fish up there? I was like, that's a trophy yellow perch. And growing up on the South River, we used to have a ton of yellow perch. Now there's none. They just don't exist.
They don't. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, certainly is. Oh, it is the tree. That's funny.
All right,
that's the best spot there that I know of. All right, here's the bomb, people. What kind of fish is that? That is a bunker. That is a menhaden. Everybody knows it. Everybody's familiar with the menhaden wars. They've been going on forever and a day. And at the ASMFC meeting, there was a big push on to start with what they call, I have to look at this because I always get confused. Excuse me. Ecosystem-based management. Now, that's when you not only consider the fish, but you also consider all the other animals that live off the fish. So everybody's probably heard about the osprey problems. The osprey have been unsuccessful in several recent years now, super unsuccessful in getting their chicks to live to adulthood. And one of the reasons many people think it is they're having trouble getting bunker. So by a lot, ecosystem-based management is supposed to take that into account. Rockfish, how many bunker can they eat? Take that into account. What that called for was a 54% reduction in the harvest. It's a pretty darn big reduction. Now, they also said that from their latest surveys, they believed that there was actually a 30% lower population than they had thought. This is the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. So this is all the scientists checking everything 1,000 times over. That's what they thought. They thought the population was actually 37% lower than they thought. And on top of that, now maybe we should start taking this ecosystem-based management into account. So what it all came down to was a 54% reduction in the take coastwide, the take of menhaden. Now, as you might expect, Omega bust in a gazillion people. And there was also a lot of pushback from up north. Now, up north, they have much smaller quotas per state than Virginia does. Virginia gets the lion's share by far. I forget the percentage, but they get the massive amount of bunker. And there were some folks up in, I think it was Maine or Massachusetts, they were going to get hit really hard by that. So they came out really strong in opposition. This got shot down, okay? For you doubters, I do want to mention one more thing. There are some people out there who are doubters. They say, oh, man, I went out, I saw a ton of bunker on the water. And you know, it's all very localized. It's hard to say. You could go out and see a ton of bunker one day, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days, you know? And it doesn't necessarily at home that you just saw them right there. And the coast, the bay's a big place. The coast is an even bigger place. But try this on for size. Maryland has not landed more than half of its menhaden quota since, are you ready for this? 2017. 2017. That's the last time Maryland managed to harvest more than half of its quota. In 2024, Maryland harvested less than 10% of its quota. When that's going on, it's really hard to say that the fishery is not in trouble, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but the last time I looked, when the commercial guys can't even come close to their quota, can't get half their quota for, my gosh, 8 years, that's weird. And when they get 10% of their quota, that's tragic. And mostly what we're talking about in Maryland is pound nets and bait fishermen. They're not getting them. Did you go to a bait shop last year and discover that the best menhaden you could get were these like tiny little 6-month-old looking horrible bunker? Because I know that happened to me a couple times. And Eric's saying the pound net guys are having trouble too. This is the pound net guys. That's who we're talking about. That is the commercial bunker fishery in Maryland. Some Maine lobstermen fishing pokies in the summer using for bait their lobster traps. Yes, David, and that's exactly who was coming out on it. And the blue cats may well be a big part of this problem. We don't know. But the bottom line was the biggest bunker you ever hooked. I don't know, but okay. I got to go off topic for half a second because when I fished the Patuxent, I had one day in January. I got down there. I did not catch a rockfish, but I did snag 3 bunker. And the crazy thing is I snagged 2 at once. I'm jigging and I felt oh man, I snagged a bunker and I reeled it up and I had 2 bunker pinned on my hook. I think that was a first for me. Anyway, all right, so what happened? 57%, 54% cut off the table, ton of opposition. They did manage to get a 20% cut through. That's in the total harvest. And that sounds kind of good. It's kind of like, whoa, they got a 20% cut. Okay, right? Here's the thing. That's what coastwide they managed to catch last year. So while Maryland was all the way down at 10% last year, 10% of the quota, coastwide, everybody only managed to catch 80% of the quota. So yeah, that you can call it a reduction, but in reality, it means absolutely no fish, fewer fish harvested next year than were last year. But there is a tiny little bit of good news. Tiny little bit of good news for bay anglers. And that is that they did agree to develop some new options for managing the Chesapeake fishery separately from everywhere else. And they're talking about 2 potentials here. One is to reduce the in the bay harvest. That's a possibility. The second is to change the timing of the harvest to even out the take. So they're not taking a gazillion fish one month and none the next month. And potentially that could allow perhaps the transit of more bunker up and down the bay, in and out of the bay. We'll have to see. Will saying Virginia's trying to withdraw from ASMFC, also has bills to pause reduction fishing in the bay and establishing science-based measures, put observers on mega boats. Yeah, that is all accurate. The, withdrawing from the ASMFC, I think, is a fantasy. That is there because all these different states are involved with all these different fisheries. And if Virginia did that, it would kind of be like the nuclear option. Um, and it would mess them up on a whole lot of other fisheries that are regulated by the ASMFC. I can't imagine they would actually do that. Now, the legislative stuff we'll have to see because there is a new governor coming in. Um, she's likely to be a little more inclined towards the environmental side. We'll have to see. Vince, why doesn't Omega cut Virginia? Omega's big business here. That's the bottom line. It is big business. It's a couple hundred jobs. Greg's saying localized depletion is the problem. That's why I say it is sort of good news that they're at least talking about changing just the Bay regs. And, if we could get a Bay cut, a significant one, not a 10% one, a 30% one, I think that may have a noticeable difference. The timing thing, I honestly don't know enough about. I don't know enough about the harvest, when it takes place, and how changing the timing could shift things. I'm not fully educated on that. But at least it's being talked about, and at least the ASMFC is noticing. And as was just pointed out, there's some potential for a legislative win on the state side of the table. We'll have to see. I'm not incredibly hopeful, only because we've had other governors in the past who are supportive of it, and it just seems like Virginia never manages to get anything done about it, as a state. If I'm wrong, tell me, but when's the last time the state of Virginia managed? They shifted the management from, I think it was the legislature to the VMRC. Might not have been the legislature, but they shifted it, and nothing changed. So I don't know. I don't have high hopes for the state acting on its own there. Kind of seems like we might need the ASMFC to enforce it a little bit. Managed by the legislature and political money. Yeah, it comes down to money. It's money and jobs. And they got a point with the jobs. Now, I would say a couple hundred jobs does not even come close to equating to the number of jobs that the sport fishing industry generates. You go Virginia, you got a lot of anglers spending a lot of money, buying a lot of boats, buying a lot of fishing rods, buying a lot of gear. You got people coming from where I live and all over the place and staying in your hotels and eating in your restaurants so they can fish the CBBT. I mean, how many people who live in Maryland go to the CBBT and stay down there, for a night or two? There's a lot of money flowing there. And Florida recognized this a million years ago. They recognized this. And that's why Florida, the sport fishermen kind of rule. But for some reason, we have not figured this out yet. I think all the comments I'm seeing popping up are kind of hitting on the same thing. Dave's saying Raritan Bay 2 years ago, the bunker were thick as heck. Yeah, you'll see localized, you'll see big pockets, but, the fish move. They go from Raritan down to North Carolina and beyond, and they go back and forth. And, it's really hard to judge from our personal experience. I've been mystified by the fact that in the Middle Bay, I've seen little baby bunker in huge numbers 2 years in a row. And Will's saying, yeah, don't expect massive changes. Another monkey wrench you're throwing. I've been seeing mini bunker, through Young of the Year, 2 years in a row, huge numbers. What I didn't see this year was the ones this big. This should have been last year's Young of the Year. I don't know where they went. They didn't stay in the Middle Bay. But then we had another crop of really big crop of little ones. Big bunker, 6, 8, 10-inch bunker. I didn't see one this year in the Middle Bay. Not one. And I can recall plenty of seasons where the schools of bunker that size were acres and acres and acres. Just everywhere. Above the bridge, below the bridge, you name it. So it's very hard for us to judge fishing in one area most of the time. I had a trip a couple years ago down at Kiptapeak, and there were tons of big bunker around. And I was like, wow, this is great to see. And that same year, at home, we had none. So Hard to say. Hard to say. But if they're sucking them up in Virginia, the numbers they're sucking up are astronomical, right? The pound netters, the bait fishermen, they're not huge numbers. What omega sucks up, I calculated this out one year. I calculated this out. If you take the average size of the fish and you lay it head to tail, they catch enough bunker in 1 year to circle the earth 5 times. 5 times. And you can get a calculator and figure it out. That's the truth. With many of the big reds in the Middle Bay Zone last year on bunker. No, there were a few, there were some. It was not a great year for the big reds, and we didn't have the bunker that those fish are looking for. We had bunker this big. I mean, maybe that big. They were little bunker. They were, the smaller rockfish will chew on them, the blues will chew on them, the mackerel will chew on them. We didn't get them. They didn't come and eat them. I don't know why. But we didn't have the big bunker. They just weren't around. Rich is saying osprey on inland freshwater is doing better with chick survival, more food. I can't tell you I'm aware of it, of how they're doing on freshwater, but there's no doubt in my mind that they are not doing great here. It wasn't that long ago, 5 years ago, you could not find a pole on the water that didn't have a nest on it. Like, you couldn't do it. Every marker had one. Not so much anymore. Constantine saying red drummer on spot, caught them on red spot, on cut spot. Cool. Yeah, they do like the spot. Remember in the 70s with the blues?
I don't.
Yeah, I totally do, man. It was bunker. We used to chum bunker and catch 2, 4, 8, 10-pound bluefish constantly.
What was disco like in the 70s?
What's that?
What was disco like?
That I don't remember. But I remember going to Love Point, dropping the anchor, putting out a chum buck, and catching a dozen monster bluefish. Like ones that by today's standards, everybody'd be like, oh my God, look at that thing. 10-pounders were not crazy. 12-pounders, not crazy. That was not at all crazy. Of course, we didn't have any rockfish. You didn't catch rockfish then. I remember going entire seasons, catch one, maybe two. You didn't see them. It was kind of a cause for excitement and celebration when a rockfish got caught. But those big blues, man, they were around. How we doing? Oh, we are overtime.
Yeah, you're rolling, man.
I'm sorry, Zach. You need to.
I was trying to catch your attention. Eric loves disco. Eric Packard is the number one John Travolta fan.
What?
Yeah, he loves Grease and Saturday Night Fever. He even watched Staying Alive, the sequel, which is just terrible.
I had no idea. Does Grease count as disco?
No. He just loves Travolta. So, man, we should do a whole show on bunker.
We could. That's a never-ending battle. It's been going on since I was a kid. It's a never-ending battle.
I lip hooked one last year. It was like, wow, that was funny. I wonder if I actually lured him in. So we do have this cooler we're going to give away.
No,
but actually, what's up?
No spinning wheel?
No spinning wheel. It's another thing. Before we do that, give a few people a chance to do it.
Do you still have some misfit enters?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's 48 people signed. That's odds are kind of slim, guys. I don't know. It's like Powerball. But I was actually looking at this the seminar schedule. It's actually great. A lot of fish talkers in here. We got Chuck Jones, the Salty Siren tomorrow. We got Tom Weaver with Miss Jimmy, his daughter. She taught Captain Tom everything he knows. I highly recommend going to see Miss Jimmy. Captain John of Patent Pending, Steve Griffin, Captain Scott Barnby, and I'm not sure, and I don't know these guys, but I'm sure they know a lot. And CCA Dave is going to be there. So check out this schedule. A lot of great talks going on. And the moment you've all been waiting for the Ingle Cooler.
Come on.
There it is. I keep one of these on my boat. They're great.
Who's gonna win it?
I lost the there it is. Sorry, it's my first time.
Did you lose the tab that has the winner?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh well. You're usually a total tech whiz, so we'll forgive you for a slight delay on the winner.
All
Here
right,
it
here we go.
comes.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, I thought it was gonna be for Anglers Arsenal.
Angler's Arsenal.
Congrats, Brian. You won a cooler.
All right.
So, Brian, you're gonna go ahead and email information at ccamd.org and coordinate a pickup, or I know you're in the Southern Maryland area, so we'll get that to you. Enjoy it, man.
And that's Brian.
Yep, that's Brian from Anglers Arsenal.
All right. Congratulations, Brian. Very nice.
Here's a delayed. What'd you say?
I said you are slow on the buttons today.
They keep changing things around back here.
All right. Well, congrats, Brian. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I'm going to say one more time, I apologize for last month. It's not going to happen again, barring disaster. But thank you, everybody, for joining in. We appreciate it. Come by the boat shows, say hi. Come by the Pasadena shows, say hi. We'll sit around and chat fishing and have a good time. And I forgot to even say. Wait a minute. One final announcement for anyone who hasn't gone. Whoa, you're way over time and left already. We actually have some new Fish Talk books. We have a kayak fishing book, and we have a beginner and intermediate angler book. And we're going to have them at these shows. So come on by, say hi, grab a book if you like. And let's all cross our fingers and hope that it warms up soon.
And if you're not at the show and you're interested, you can hop onto this URL here. There's a button at the top of the page. We also have some shirts and hats too. So check them out.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.